Hello, all my rosy readers! Welcome back to my channel. Today's book review is supposed to be something that I was interested in, and it's going to be something of a rant. Yes, one of those books. Today's review is the further adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the Angel of the Opera by Sam Siciliano. I apologize if I butchered that. Because I want to say Sicily, but you know, it probably is like that. Siciliano. Anyways. I got this because it'd be like, oh, it'd be interesting to see how he deals with Sherlock and the Phantom of the Opera. Don't get me wrong, he actually got those characters pretty close to their books. It's just the other characters. Primarily, his narrator. I've never hated a narrator so much. I seriously couldn't believe it when I was reading it. The main thing is, you don't diss Watson, okay? I'm glad the narrator did it behind Sherlock's back, but it was obvious to us rereaders that got all the juicy bits about why this narrator doesn't exactly like Miss Dr. Watson. Which in turn means I don't exactly like you, because I do like Dr. Watson, okay? He is a staple of Sherlock Holmes mythos, okay? You do not diss Dr. Watson just because you have an issue with some of the things he does or says, from what it sounds like from the movies you watched, rather than the actual books. You see, this is what a lot of people tend to complain about with this fan fiction, especially a fan fiction like this that gets published. If you're not going to delve too, or I guess delve too deep into the lore, or keep even to the lore and the canon, well, you're writing this, what's the point of even trying to get it published? I mean, yeah, you're writing Sherlock Holmes, but everyone knows Sherlock Holmes comes with Dr. Watson. I mean, yeah, sure, you can have like a different narrator instead of Dr. Watson. That's perfectly alright. Say, Dr. Watson's on vacation. The stuff this guy was saying about Dr. Watson was, and it wasn't even much, to be honest. It really was not much, but it really got under my skin. I mean, of course, there's a few other things that I'm just like, okay, you kidding me? Is that it? I mean, it's almost like, okay, Sherlock is like one side of the spectrum and this guy's like the other, and it's like, why are you even working together? Or how can you even stand each other? You're like almost two complete opposites. It's like, seriously, you got a raging fire and ice cubes. And it's like, something's not right here. So, yes. My first ranting book review. And while some people might enjoy it, I am not exactly too thrilled about it, because I do want to give people an interest in books. If my ranting about it makes you interested in this book, okay. So, I mean, if it ends up being your thing, great. I hope you enjoy it. But if this is your first time reading Sherlock Holmes, please go read the actual Sherlock Holmes first. And technically read The Phantom of the Opera first as well before you read this book. So that way you have a better understanding of all the characters. And why you'll understand why I'm so frustrated. Because, I mean, some of the changes is okay. Like, with some of the characters, like, oh gosh, I got the Viscount Raoul. I wanted to say the Viscount, but I completely forgot his surname, his title. So, and you're just gonna have to deal with Raoul. But he and his brother, you get a little bit more backstory on them. It's sort of, I guess you can understand a little bit more of their characters. And it's like, you kind of see, and you then also have to read in the books. It's like, yeah, you can kind of see where he's going with this, and it kind of works, but at the same time, you're just like, okay, now you're going a little too far here. Okay, not everyone's gonna be acting like that, and I don't think they really acted like that in the books, even though it's been a while since I've read The Phantom of the Opera. But, you know, even just basing it on what I know of the book, coupled with what I know from the Andrew Lloyd Webber's version of it, it does seem a little off. It does seem a little off. Christine kind of seems a little off. Yeah, he's not trying to write her as innocent. Well, not so much innocent as much as annoying innocence, I guess you can say. It is like, well, ignorance, you know. You're annoying in your innocence and ignorance, and it's like, is that really what we want to, what's the word I want to use? I just had it, and now I've lost it. I apologize. But it's like, is that really what we want to promote? Is that innocence and ignorance is annoying and frustrating? I mean, for someone like Sherlock Holmes, yes, but your narrator comes off as more annoyed with these people than Sherlock Holmes himself, which is like, okay, since when does Sherlock have less of a problem with society than your narrator, when it's usually the other way around? Dr. Watson's supposed to bring the heart. Old Sherlock was the brains, and that was the whole point, was that Holmes brings out, I mean, not Holmes, Watson brings out Holmes's humanity. Okay, he teaches him how to be human around other people, how to empathize. I mean, Watson's a doctor, it's his job, you know, and he's also got to keep that cool head, which is why Sherlock likes him so much, because Watson is intelligent. He is intelligent, okay? Just because he doesn't exactly have Sherlock's level of intelligence doesn't mean he's not, okay? Watson is very intelligent in his very own right. He's a doctor, for crying out loud. You gotta be intelligent for that. So, it's not really so much a matter of intelligence with Watson, it's his level of perception. Holmes has a very high level of perception. I guess you could say he's got ADHD. He's noticing things. I wouldn't even say that, because I don't even know if that's the proper diagnosis. I'm not a psychologist. Don't take my word for it, okay? And if a real psychologist comes along and says, nope, that's not it, don't listen to her, listen to them, okay? So, anyways, but Holmes has a higher level of perception than Watson, and Watson in the books is in fact learning. There's even a few of the original old black and white TV show where Watson is picking up on this. He's, you know, getting better with his level of perception. He's learning from Holmes. He's picking up little clues. He's still not as quick as Holmes, but if it's like starting out with riding a bike. You know, you're slow at first, but after, or, you know, the piano. you're slow at first, but once you practice a lot, it's gonna come faster. Watson was getting that practice in, and once he's had as much practice as Holmes has had, he's gonna pick it up even faster. He'll notice pretty quickly. And there's because I read The Hound of the Baskervilles after I read this, because Watson had to notice a lot of stuff because he was without Holmes for a good portion of that book. Okay? So, going back and reading that, it's like, I don't think the Sam Siciliano really understood the importance of Watson and their dynamic. And the dynamic between Sherlock and Holmes. Sherlock and Holmes. I hope there's a dynamic there. That's his name. But between Sherlock and Watson. And, like I said, it's obvious he made some changes to the characters here. And like I said, some changes aren't as noticeable and it kind of would still fit within the canon. Except for this narrator. And his complaining about Watson. Oh, Watson doesn't do this, and Watson doesn't do this right. Oh, and he's a doctor too. The narrator is a doctor as well, and it's like, you might as well have just written Watson, okay, and had Watson complaining about this character because he can be a jerk, to be honest. Yeah. Not a great narrator. And I think he is also looking at Erik through rose-colored glasses. Yes, Erik is lonely. Yes, Erik has been treated very badly for all of his life. Until he met Christine, and even then, she's like, she wants to get away from him, and in a way, you kinda can't blame her because of how he acts. Erik is not a psychopath, nor is he a sociopath. It's his isolation. He has not had to deal with humans in the longest time, and that's why I think Dr. Watson would have been better in this book, because he has dealt with Holmes, who kinda does the same thing, but unlike Holmes, Erik was technically forced into this isolation, whereas Holmes chose it simply because he's better than everyone else. He thinks. Sorry. So you're not exactly better in everything. But, so, Watson has a better grasp on how to help someone like Erik, like Sherlock, who are in isolation, don't exactly know how to deal with humans, help them deal with humans. Okay? He knows how to bring heart in the humanity. He knows how to connect with them. So, the narrator doesn't connect with either of them. Watson at least tried, and he started to succeed. Okay? This narrator, he claims he's a doctor. He doesn't seem as intelligent as Watson. He doesn't seem to concentrate on trying to understand Holmes, even. He almost comes in like, oh, I understand Holmes right away. I don't need to worry about what Watson does. But with Watson, you kind of get to look a little deeper into Holmes. And Watson, kind of how do I want to describe this? How do I want to say this? Because I want to, make this go. I don't want to make this too long. But, it's a rant. Yeah, kind of make it long. But anyways, Watson... I still can't even think of how I can put it. But, anyways, point is, this narrator comes in thinking he knows everyone. You're all kind of looking through rose-colored glasses at both Erik and Holmes, not including the fact that they do have problems due to their isolation, and of course the whole cop-out at the end was like, oh, the mystery at the beginning ties into the mystery at the end. How convenient. She's blind and loves music. Lovely. Quite the cheapskate. Did you know blind people smell? Or have a higher sense of smell than those of us who can see? What about Erik's hands of death? Because not only were they supposed to look like skeleton hands, they kind of smelled like them too. That was the whole thing. Not only did he look like death warmed over, he kind of smelled like it too. Hades, what's your secret? Anyways, so, yeah, there was quite a few issues with this one. And last week, yeah, I did have a little bit of a, I guess you can say it wasn't as much of a rant as much of a, yeah, it was boring, and then we finally get to the good part. This one was just, okay, shut up. I don't want to hear you talking in your head anymore. Give me Watson. Give me that kind of... It was almost a third bird's eye view, but while still Watson's point of view, if you will, of the whole situation. Like, like I was mentioning earlier, the Hound of the Baskervilles. It's in third person, still slightly from Watson's point of view, or mostly, I should say. But, it's... You still get a bit of an understanding of how things are working out and how the mystery's going. You still get those clues. I mean, it's still there. It's there for you to pick up on. It's asking you if you're as good as Sherlock, okay? If you can be as good as Sherlock. Here are the clues. It was literally Sherlock crossed over, basically planting Sherlock in this narrator. I completely forgot his name, as a matter of fact. Let me see. In the library journal here at the back says, the tone is Holmesian to the last detail, with the reader swept along to a satisfying ending, a fine addition to the Holmes canon. Really? I'd say otherwise. Oh, see, here. Here it is. The very opening sequence. Dear reader, the following manuscript was written in summer of 1891, shortly after the events recounted herein. My purpose at the time was to reveal the real Sherlock Holmes, as corrective to the ridiculous fictional creation of John Watson. Holmes was my truest friend and my cousin, his mother, Violet Sharonford, being my mother's sister. However, when in 1892 I showed Sherlock this account of our adventures in Paris, he asked me, quite sternly, not to publish it. Watson's writings he thought bad enough, far worse to have his true character revealed, his soul bared to the masses. He was also concerned about the privacy of others. With regret, I yielded to his wishes, and over the years, as yet another of Watson's foolish stories appeared, I gritted my teeth and tried to master patience. Now that Sherlock, God rest his soul, and John Watson are both dead, I can finally publish what was truly Holmes's strangest case. The Devil's Foot's business cannot possibly compare with this. Sherlock Holmes was a much more interesting, a much deeper man than Watson rendered him. Watson had little imagination and was extremely conventional in the stuffiest British sense. I'd hate for you to get to know Sherlock Holmes. He's like Spock. Okay, Spock was basically based on Sherlock Holmes. All logic and little to no emotion, okay? That was the point. This is why I don't like fanfiction like this. I mean, I don't have a problem with fanfiction in general. It's just fanfiction like this, where it's like, I know this character like the back of my palm. Or like the palm of my hand. And it's like, really? If I'm coming into this thinking you totally got this wrong, I don't think you did. Because if another reader can think of this character differently than you don't know them at all. So, yeah. I had to stop. This is... He was a much deeper man. Heck! What? He has emotions! That was Watson's. And technically, if you had Watson in here, it'd have been Erik, Sherlock, and Watson was in the middle. Okay? Sorry, I apologize. I realized you can't see my hands, what I was doing. Like, Sherlock on one side, Erik on the other, and Watson's in the middle. Because Erik really... I mean, Erik, the Phantom of the Opera, is by no means unintelligent. He is intelligent, okay? He is very intelligent. It's just he also acts on his emotions because he does not have the discipline that Sherlock Holmes has. Or Spock, even. And telling his emotions, no. It wasn't until the very end of the Phantom of the Opera that he starts to garner some of that control. Where he finally realizes, okay, I can't depend on my emotions all the time. Yes, I feel strongly about this woman, but love would mean letting her go. And letting her be with someone she loves. And just loving her silently in the shadows. Okay? You know, Erik, yes, was isolated. Yes, he's got mental problems because of that. Don't go painting him with your rosy-colored glasses saying he's perfect because he's been isolated. Because he's not. He has no idea how to interact with people. Sherlock Holmes, like I mentioned earlier, self-isolated by choice because he felt, in a way he is right, that he's better than everyone else. He's definitely smarter than everyone else. Okay? Not only that, if he does have what you would, I guess, it's ADHD, again, like I said, I could be wrong. I don't know the exact terminology for everything. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But his mind's all over the place. He's fast, okay? His mind's continuously going. In order to calm himself down, he's gotta, take medications in order to calm his brain down, or he'd be an insomniac. Okay? That's Sherlock Holmes, okay? His mind is going a mile a minute. This guy slowed him down to 5 feet a minute. It's what it felt like, and everyone else was still going afoot. But, I mean, and Erik too, to be honest. Oh, no, he's got maybe 6 feet. Nah, he's only a little bit. Technically, it's a tie between Holmes and Erik. Anyways, yes, that is Angel of the Opera. Will I get rid of this? Probably not. It's Sherlock Holmes and the Phantom of the Opera. I wanted to like it. I really, 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 really wanted to like it. Okay, because Sherlock Holmes. I grew up with Sherlock Holmes. He's one of my favorites, okay? Hound of the Baskervilles is my favorite mystery of all time, okay? It's probably why I like Nancy Drew's Ghost Dogs and Moonlight, regardless of the problems it's got, because I just like the Ghost Dogs, okay? I just, that whole thing with, howling hounds and all this, it just really fascinates me. It just gets me excited. I just like it. So, Hound of the Baskervilles, it's my favorite, and I should probably watch that again. That'll be my Halloween treat to myself after, ranting about Dash. But, it's... Like I said, I had to go... I have not only read the Hound of the Baskervilles book, I probably watched every version of the movie I could find, every variation, even the Wishbone episode of Hound of the Baskervilles, which you can't find on YouTube, which is like awesome. But I just had to, oh my gosh, if you come in with your fanfic and say, I know this character way better than the author, I'm sorry, you're basically saying you own this character now. And you barely got him right. So, yeah, that's... I need to... I need to stop this now. It's become longer than I wanted, but it's a rant. Probably my first ever rant. Yeah, you end up having a lot to say when it's something you don't like. Until you get to something that I really truly enjoy, which that'll be for future Octobers, because what I'm planning on doing is each October I'm going to have a specific book I'm going to have a theme on. This one, if you watched last week's and paid attention to the clues I gave for that one, this one has got the biggest clue of all, but it might not be the one you're thinking of. It is one half of this crossover, for sure. And it's not Sherlock. So I'm saving that for another time, for another month. So I can, now that I've gotten this out of my system, I can go and just devour, if I will, every other Sherlock Holmes. Ian McKellen was great. Yeah, Ian McKellen actually was... His depict of the movie that Ian McKellen played as Sherlock Holmes did a much better of getting to the real Sherlock Holmes than this book. Okay? Because he basically... Yeah, still treated Watson with respect. That's the main thing. He still was good friends with Watson, and Watson was doing it for his good. You know, as well as for the audience. That was the point. Watson was our connection between... Well, Watson was the connection between Sherlock and the audience, basically. Well, that was the point. This doctor, I can't even... I want to get out of his head. I so want to get out of his head. I hate all this... the inside notes and everything. It's just like, I can't connect to this guy. He's complaining 24/7. Watson complains a bit, but he gets over it pretty quickly, and some of it's understandable. It's like, Sherlock, you left me alone all here when you're here dressed up and you've been here all along. What are you doing? And it's like, why didn't you tell me? And it's like, which is understandable. You know, if your best friend doesn't let you in on the know that, you know, hey, yeah, I've been here this whole entire time, it's like, you're gonna be frustrated. But Watson still had a better understanding of what Sherlock Holmes was going through, because Sherlock Holmes' mind is going a mile a minute. Not half that. So, yeah, this scene was taken a jab at Watson, trying to slow down Holmes, give us Erik through rosy-colored glasses, and, I mean, well, technically so am I, but in my fanfiction, I'm not... It takes place after the Phantom of the Opera, several years later. So Erik's had a little bit of off-screen progression, which I apologize, but you know, there's still going to be some progression that's going to happen. But the links to that I might post in the video, in the description below. If it's not there, check out the next video. It might be there. I mean, I've got several of the chapters written. It might have just been still waiting on the cover. Awesome. So, yeah, okay. Rant over, and I'm feeling excited to get on to the next stuff. Yes. Thank you for coming to probably my first ever rant. I needed to get this out of my system. Oh my gosh. This and Wuthering Heights, I probably two of the books I hate with a passion. I just hate it. Okay, I'll complain about Twilight, but I don't hate it with this same passion, okay? If you ever liked Twilight, okay, I guess you're fine. This I hate with a passion. Well, okay, correction. 50 Shades of Grey and 365 Days, I do hate with a passion too. But this I hate with just as equally as much of a passion, because I actually read it. So, I had to suffer through it, so that makes me even madder. And see how horribly they butchered it. 50 Shades is, you know, you butcher your own characters, I don't care. But anyways, yes. Now that that's out, yeah, oh my gosh, I feel so... Now I'm tired. I guess that means I definitely have to go now. Thank you if you've made it this far, thank you so much for getting through my longest review ever. And my first rant, perhaps when I get to an actual book that I really want to geek out over, it'll be just as long. We'll see. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for sticking around. If you got through to the end, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're interested in checking this book out, good luck. I technically wouldn't. This is going to be one of the ones that I'm actually not going to recommend. I would actually prefer. I would rather recommend a more boring book than I would this. Okay? That's just me. Thanks again. I'm just thank you so much again for coming around and just sticking with me through the very end. So, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there and God bless.